Every single time you browse a website or watch a video or just check your email, there's this invisible engine working tirelessly in the background. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that engine, the web server.
Think about it. You type in a web address, you hit enter, and boof, a website just appears. It feels like magic, right? But it's not. It's actually this incredibly fast conversation happening in milliseconds all over the world. So what is actually going on in that split second?
Well, at the heart of it all is something called the client-server model, and it's way simpler than it sounds. Just think of it like this. Your browser is the client. It politely raises its hand and asks, "Hey, can I please see this web page?" And the server, which is just a powerful computer somewhere out there, hears that request, finds all the right files, and says, "Sure, here you go," before sending them right back to your screen.
All right, so here's our game plan for this journey. First, we're going to nail down what a web server actually is. Then, we'll look at the two heavyweights in the ring, Apache versus IIS. After that, we're going to pop the hood and see how to get one running and how to read its instruction manual. Then, we'll check out how to give it superpowers with modules. And finally, we'll wrap it all up and talk about why this hidden engine matters so much.
So let's get a little more specific. In that whole client-server conversation we just talked about, what part does the web server software actually play?
It's kind of like a gatekeeper and a super fast librarian all rolled into one. It's this specialized software running on that server computer that's just listening for those requests from your browser. As soon as the request comes in, it's the web server's job to spring into action, find the exact HTML files, the images, the style sheets, everything, package it all up, and then shoot it back across the internet so your browser can put it all together into the web page you see.
Now, not all web servers are created equal. You'd think a server is a server, right? But there are a bunch of options out there, and for a long time, the market has been dominated by two major players. You can really think of it as the ultimate software rivalry.
In one corner, you've got Apache. It's the open source champion, right? It can run on pretty much anything. It's free, it's powerful, it's secure, but managing it usually means you got to get comfortable with editing text files. In the other corner, you have Microsoft's IIS. It's built specifically for Windows, and people love its user-friendly tools. But that convenience comes with a price tag, and it locks you into the Microsoft ecosystem.
So for our deep dive today, we're going to focus on the longtime market leader, Apache. Its flexibility, the fact that it's free, and its absolutely massive community support have made it the backbone of a huge chunk of the internet for decades.
Okay, so how do you actually get this engine started? Let's walk through a super quick, high-level guide to getting an Apache server up and running. The whole process is surprisingly straightforward. It really just boils down to three main phases. First, obviously, you install the software. Second, you do a quick check to make sure it's actually working. And third, you learn the basic on-off switch, the commands to start it, stop it, and restart it when you make changes. And how you install it just depends on your operating system. For Windows, it's usually that familiar process. You download an installer and click Next a bunch of times. For Linux, it's often as simple as typing one single command in the terminal, and the system just takes care of the rest. And verifying that it worked is the easy part. After you install it, the server is usually already running. All you have to do is open up your web browser and go to localhost, which is just a universal nickname for your own computer. If you see Apache's default It Works page, well, you're good to go. You have a live web server on your machine.
Okay, great, the server is running. But how does it know what to do? How does it know where to find your website's files or how to handle connections? Well, all of that is defined in its rulebook, the configuration files. On a typical Linux system, the master file is called apache2.conf, and inside this text file are all these instructions called directives. You can think of each directive as a specific command that tells the Apache server exactly how to act. Let's look at a few of the most important ones. So, the first set of directives we'll look at basically act like a map for the server. They tell it where its own important files are located and, most importantly, where your website's files are.
ServerRoot tells Apache where its own program files are installed. DocumentRoot, though, is probably the most important one for anyone building a website. That's the folder that actually holds all your HTML files and images. Then you have Directory Index. That's a nice little convenience setting. It tells the server, hey, if someone just visits a folder, look for a file named index.html or home.html and show them that one automatically. Okay, so once the server knows where to find everything, you need directives that manage the actual conversation between the server and a user's browser. These control performance and behavior.
Server name tells the server what domain name it should be answering for, like example.com. Timeout is a safety net. It stops the server from waiting around forever if a connection is really slow. But keep alive, that's the real performance hero here. By turning it on, the server keeps the communication line open, which lets your browser quickly grab all the images and scripts for a page at once, instead of having to ask for each one separately. It's a massive speed boost.
But here's the thing, the default stuff is just the beginning. One of Apache's greatest strengths is that it's modular. This means you can add all sorts of new features and capabilities. You can basically give your server superpowers.
Seriously, think of modules like apps for your phone. Do you need better security? Yeah, there's a module for that, Mod Security. Want to enable those secure HTTPS connections with the little padlock icon? You'll need Mod SSL. All of these modules are sitting there, ready to go, and they get loaded up when Apache starts, making the server incredibly flexible.
And managing them is as easy as flipping a switch. You just use simple commands to enable a module when you need a feature and then disable it when you don't. This lets you build a server that's perfectly tailored to what you need without any extra bloat. So wow, we've gone from this huge big picture idea all the way down into the nitty-gritty of command line tools. Let's zoom back out and tie this all together. Why does understanding this hidden engine actually matter?
When you get right down to it, a web server isn't just a piece of software. It's the fundamental bridge between a person who creates something and the audience who wants to see it. It's the engine that literally transforms a bunch of files sitting in a folder into the global, interconnected web that we all use every single day. If you understand the web server, you understand the very architecture of our digital world.
It's the silent, reliable workhorse that delivers the entire internet to your fingertips. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other complex, invisible systems are humming away all around us, just powering our daily lives, waiting to be explored?